Bonjour, everybody. It's Adrian Vandenberg from Moonkings. Vandenberg's Moonkings, in this case. You're watching Rocknlive. Keep watching.
So far away, but so close to my heart.
Well, first of all, I didn't plan to stay away that long, you know. I was kind of planning, or you can't really plan anything in life, but my idea was to make paintings for about 3, 4, 5 years, because before I joined Whitesnake, I was always able to combine painting and music. When I joined Whitesnake, we were on tour all the time in the record studio and all stuff, so I had no time at all. So I really started to miss painting, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to catch up for 3, 4, 5 years. But time flies, you know. Before I realized there were more years that passed by, and one of my ex-girlfriends got a daughter, my daughter as well. So I didn't want to miss seeing her grow up, you know. I didn't want to be one of those daddies who was always gone, you know. So, and because my daughter lives with her mom and I are not together anymore since a long time, and I thought if I'm away, you know, then I won't see her at all, and she won't see me. So I decided to wait a little longer until she was a little older. Now she's 14, you know. So now, and the last 3 or 4 years, she understands more what I'm doing. And also the other thing is, every decision that I make or everything I do in my life, I always listen to my instincts and to what my heart tells me to do, and it's usually a loud voice, you know. There's usually a loud voice that goes, "Adrian, you gotta go painting because you haven't painted for 13 years." So I listened to that voice then, and then I didn't really have I didn't really listen. I didn't really hear that voice, if you know what I mean. You know, it's not really a voice, of course, but like your instinct. I didn't feel like it was the right time for me to start. For instance, like 5 or 6 years ago or something. I was starting to think about it, but at the same time, I wanted to be completely free from all kinds of things that bothered me a little bit about the record business and the music business and stuff. And I wanted to go back to a state where I could just do what I wanted musically, without having the idea that I should do this or should do that, or listen too much to a record company, or which is a mistake I made a couple of times in the past, you know. And so at a certain moment I started writing again, and that's about 2 years ago, and it was a song for my local soccer team, my football team in my hometown. They became champion, and they asked me to write a song for them. And I thought it was a strange thing to do, because I'm not a very big soccer follower, you know. I listen to or I look at it sometimes, but rarely. So I did write a song for them, and then I needed a singer to sing the song, and I found Jan, the singer in my band, and by coincidence, because I read a review of a gig he did as a support act for Whitesnake, and in the review it said the support act had a great singer. So I thought, who's this guy? I checked him out, and it was Jan. So I thought he was fantastic, and we recorded that song for the soccer team. And that's when I felt I want to continue, you know. I want to keep writing, I want to record. And I started thinking about putting a band together. And the drummer and the bass player in my band are from my hometown too. And it appeared that 10 years ago, when they were 13, they both won a talent contest that I was in a jury with, because I thought they were really amazing already then, you know, when they were that young. And through a friend of mine, I ran into him again in my hometown, and we decided to play that soccer song live on when the soccer team got their award, 60,000 people and just one song to be played, so we didn't really have to rehearse either, So I decided that would be the perfect band actually to continue with, but I hadn't finished the songs yet, so I kept working for another couple of months until we rehearsed, and that was it. That was the birth of the Moonkings, and basically it all comes down to my local soccer team, because if I wouldn't have written that song, I wouldn't have looked for Jan and the guys, so I think it's all for a reason, everything happens for a reason, I think. So we'll see what happens. I didn't want to make a solo style record, with lots of guitar solos and stuff. I think for me personally, it doesn't go for every guitar player, because I can listen to a Jeff Beck instrumental album for hours, but for me personally, I wrote a couple of instrumental songs over the last 10 years or something, and I'm not the kind of guy, I think, at least not now, I didn't want to make a instrumental record, because also when you go to a guitar player's concert, it's usually guitar players who come to the show to see what the guitar player does, and for me that's a little boring. I wanted to make a record as a band with a few short guitars, there's guitar solos, but usually on all my Vandenberg records and on my Whitesnake records, I usually make solos that are not longer than 20 or 25 seconds. I think that should be it, if you can't tell a story in 25 seconds, then it's not a story worth mentioning, I think, for me personally at least. So I really wanted to make a band song and a band concept, and also for me the songwriting is at least as much important as guitar playing. That's what I really enjoy doing. And I've always liked songs where the guitar solo is a little story in a story. So it should add to what is there, but it shouldn't get in the way of the actual song, It shouldn't turn into a huge, long guitar solo, freak, ego trip, So that's actually why I wanted to call it Moonkings as a band, It's called Vandenberg Moonkings because the record company thought it was a good idea. Otherwise you start all the way over again, Now people know it's my band, so maybe they take it seriously, I hope. Probably not, but... Oh no, because first of all, Jan is a very big Coverdale fan. Jan is a fan of all the singers that I'm a fan of, early Rod Stewart, when Rod Stewart was before the Faces, when he was with Jeff Beck. Paul Rodgers, Coverdale, Robert Plant, those kind of singers. And Jan is one of those guys who grew up listening to that stuff, and he was really excited when I told him that David wanted to sing a song on the album, because it's one of his heroes, and I think it worked out really beautifully, because Sailing Ships as the last track on the album feels like people that know my past, they know that I've been with Whitesnake for 13 years. Then to have David sing that reflective, pretty emotional song at the end of the album is like a way of respect to the 13 years that I played with Whitesnake. If it would have been an up-tempo song in the middle of the album, it would have been strange, Not for Jan. Jan thinks it's great, but I think it feels really great to have that as the goodbye song of the album, as an encore, like as a we want more. Bam, you get a song. That's what I hope, because when I make an album, especially this album, I want to make an album that makes me happy first, you know, because you can't expect to make other people happy if you're not happy yourself. So I wanted to make an album that I would really like to buy right now, and that I can't really find, you know. There's not a lot of bands that make the kind of music that I really like playing and I like listening to, which is like blues rock based, but with strong melodies, you know. Like a lot of blues rock albums are great and it's blues rock, but usually there's not a lot of melody on there. And I think a groove is really important, you know. I really enjoy records that groove, you know, where it makes you want to tap your feet and stuff, you know. So when I write songs, when I write rock songs, I always write them with a live show in mind, you know, with like a song that would sound great in a rock club or in a stadium or anywhere, you know. So also I really wanted to let all the influences in my life, all the musical influences, just let them come in and not think about, oh, maybe this sounds like this or it sounds like that, because everybody's influenced by everybody. Led Zeppelin was influenced by blues guys and by hippie guys, you know. If you listen to a lot of the songs, you can really tell where they come from, but they turned them into Led Zeppelin songs, which I think is great. And that happened in classical music, it happens in rock, it happens in jazz, gypsy style music, it happens everywhere. But I wanted to keep all those windows and doors open, so whatever came in as far as inspiration for songs, I never really wanted to constrict myself by thinking, oh, maybe this sounds like this or that. I think if you play it well and if you play it with your own feeling, it's going to be great, you know. It's my favorite album at the moment. So I'm going to buy my own album now.
Be strong, and the rules are rather.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. What worked really good for me is that I took all this time off doing other stuff, you know, like mainly painting, and also doing stuff that I couldn't do in those 13 years with Whitesnake, you know, stuff that I didn't have time for, like hanging with my friends, see my mom and dad and family, and you know, watch my daughter grow up, and listen to other music, and actually research other music. I'm a very big fan of gypsy music, you know, like Stockelo Rosenberg, Jimmy Rosenberg. They're both two Dutch gypsy players, and Béréle Lagraine is probably the most amazing player, French. So I looked and listened a lot to that kind of stuff. Every year I go to Samoa-Suzanne, where the yearly Young Rhino Festival is. And that inspires me a lot, you know, because it's very spontaneous, staccato, emotional music. So all those 10, 12 years or 13, 14 years, I didn't really do anything with rock music, so that really made it fresh for me, you know. So for me it feels like starting all over again, and with young guys and unknown guys that nobody knows. That's another thing I thought was important, because a lot of players that had a career like I do, they form a new band with other well-known players, and everybody starts calling it a super group, and then you know beforehand already how this group is going to sound. You know, it's always good. You know, bands like Winery Dogs and Black Country Communion are great, but when I read about it, I knew how it was going to sound, so I wanted to do something different, come up with totally unknown guys, fresh, and so that people wouldn't know what to expect, you know, when they would read or hear, oh, Adrian Vandenberg starting a new band. But who is in the band? Nobody knows, you know, so you come up with something fresh and new and hopefully different to what people expect, you know. And I kept it really simple, you know, just one or two guitars, great drums, great bass, great singer, good songs, you know, that's what it's about. Pretty much everything on Gibson Les Pauls. I have a few, and the studio owner is a collector of old Les Pauls and old guitars, vintage amplifiers. So I used a lot of his old amplifiers from 1959, from 1961, like really old stuff. And it's because most guitar players, almost every guitar player from the last 15 years, work with a perfect sound, because there's so many perfect amplifiers on the market that everybody basically sounds like Eddie Van Halen as far as the sound goes. When Eddie came out in 1976 or 7 with the first Van Halen album, everybody was blown away by that sound. So the last 30 years everybody has been trying to get that sound, and now everybody does. So I think that's very predictable. I wanted to do something completely different, So most of the sounds, almost all of the sounds on my new record are clean or very dirty, but very much in your face, very no compression, bam, 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 bam. It's like you're sitting 1 meter in front of the stage at a band rehearsal, and you hear the sound of the band coming right in your face. That's what I wanted to try to achieve. And since the drummer and the bass player and Jan are such great musicians, I wanted everybody to shine. Everybody had to be at their best and play like Zeppelin and the Free and the Cream and stuff played in the 70s, where people played to make a record. And in the 80s, I didn't like that all the big production, with drums that sounded like cannon shots, like like you were all the way in the back of a stadium, and 10 guitars on top of each other, and keyboards and vocals, and takes and takes and takes and takes. So I wanted it to sound like an honest band, where you can just picture what the band sounds like live, and that's fortunately what we achieved. And the mix is done by Ronald Prent, who's an amazing mixing engineer who worked with everybody from Tina Turner, Elton John to Rammstein, Def Leppard, everybody. And he understood exactly what I was trying to do, to just make the band sound really honest, no reverb, bam in your face. So bare ass naked, basically.
A celebration of lust and lies. You can hide it, and I can find it.
Well, David and I are very good friends. Most people know that, and we always stay in touch on the phone or by email, or whenever David plays Holland with Whitesnake, I always join him on stage for a couple of songs. And David always was pushing me. He always said, "Come on, Adrian, when are you gonna make a record?" I said, "Next year, gonna do some painting," and bam. So a year and a half, 2 years ago, I told him I was gonna start working on a record. He said, "Oh, great! That's about time. It would be an honor for me if I can sing a song on your record." I said, "Oh, great! It would be an honor for me too, and it would be great for the fans, So, but we did it mainly for ourselves because we really enjoy working together. And that song, Sailing Ships, on Slip of the Tongue record, we both agreed at the time that it sounded a little bit overproduced. It was very busy. There was a lot of stuff happening. And I always wanted to make a new arrangement that's more down to earth, and with real violins. So I asked an amazing Dutch arranger to make arrangements for like violin arrangements. And we brought in a string quartet, and one of the violin players was my niece, the daughter from my sister. She's an amazing classical violinist. So she plays on my record too. It's really nice. And I'm really happy with the way it turned out, because I wanted to be a little bit more emotional, a little slower, and more reflective, And David did, of course, an amazing job on it. He came right off tour. He'd been on the road for about a year. And what I like is his voice sounds a little bit tired on this recording, because he was, he was on tour for a year, and the next day he had to go for knee surgery because he damaged his knee on the last tour. So there was just a little window of time where he could do it, and because his voice sounds a little tired, it really worked great with the slower arrangement and with the whole vibe of the song. So I'm really proud and really happy with it. Yeah, and he's very enthusiastic. He actually, day before yesterday, he sent out a Twitter, and he told everybody to check out the Moonkings, and he said it was a kick-ass band and everything, you know. So yeah, he's really telling everybody, you know. So that's really cool. Oh, he's gonna sing it in tomorrow. Definitely Europe, you know. Europe is for me, that's a very important thing. With Whitesnake, we spend most of the time in the US, usually, and South America, Russia stuff. Europe was usually like 2 or 3 weeks, you know. Like in France, we only did, in all the time I was with Whitesnake, we only did 1 show. And I spend a lot of time in France. I have a house in France, and I go there as much as I can. And I was always a little disappointed that we never did a lot of stuff in France, you know. So I'm really looking forward to do that now. And we're starting the tour. We only do 1 show in Paris at the first part of the tour because we wanted to go to as many European countries in a short time, so we can tell everybody about the album and stuff. And then we come back and do more shows in every country. So it would be nice if we can come back to France in summer, because that's always nice, or September or something. Oh yes, I hope to see everybody real soon, you know, and I hope I have time left this year to spend time in my house in France, you know, because I don't have heating there yet, and I don't have warm water there yet, but I stay there all the time, you know. It's so nice. So it would be very nice to come and play in France and talk to the people and go to all the beautiful places, you know. And I hope to see everybody as soon as we do a concert. It would be nice. Oh, he's gonna sing it in tomorrow.